So just wanted to start off by asking if you were able to catch any of the fights this past weekend in Abu Dhabi, if you had any thoughts about that.
No, I didn't. Man, I got that. I've been back home doing the honey-do list, so I kind of haven't had any chance to really slow down and sit on the couch, basically.
Did you see any of the 304 fights in Manchester? And the reason I ask you that is because Mick Parkin in your division is one of the guys that got a bonus check from that, and you two have two common opponents. So I wondered if that fight interested you at all.
Yeah, honestly, I'd probably want to fight him next, just because he's kind of within range, whatever, where I could probably get that fight where he should be in the top 15. So, yeah, it interested me. Who did he fight again? He fought the guy that Waldo Cortez just knocked out, didn't
Yeah, yeah,
he?
yeah, Lucas
Yeah,
Krusty.
yeah, and so yeah, whatever. He looks good. He's a good fighter. I seen that fight, and then I seen Tom Asplin, right? Just the highlights of him and Curtis Blades. Like I don't know what happened to Curtis Blades, but yeah, whatever. I think Mickey Pardon. He probably should be the next guy in line, but I don't have any pull to say what I want, or I just you show up and fight.
Would you be willing to
But yeah,
go across the pond for that if they wanted to book it there?
you can't really say no, but like the worst thing about you go across the pond, it's taxes. They you get, and we know I don't make a lot of money right now. Like I'm at the bottom of the food chain, and so but it would be cool to see London too. So it's like a double-sided sword, double-edged blade, as one would say, right? And so yeah, I don't know. If they asked me, I'd probably say yes, but it just sucks in the end. I think you get taxed in their country, and then you get taxed in our country for the income, and
Right.
so that's what sucks about being a little, right? We're not making a lot of money right now.
I did want to shift the focus a little bit to your last fight because it was a decent name you were across from and a former Ultimate Fighter winner in Mohammed Usman, and obviously everybody knows what that family has done, not just in the UFC but in the sport as a whole. And you looked really good. You were able to get the win. What did you think about the performance you were able to put on?
Man, I was proud of myself. Yeah, I was proud of myself. Like, yeah, like you said, these guys are, they're top tier athletes, right? They had every chance of training, every, at least right now, they're in the high end of the sport where Kamara's, backing them, and he's got all the backing in the world, so it was cool to beat a guy like that who's got every edge, in the whole fucking world. And then me, I'm just making it work. And I got a good team. I got a bunch of good guys around me. I go down and train with like Waldo Cortez and Tyrone for our Fortune, down there, and their training partners. And then I think Tyrell Fortune, I think is his name. And then I got guys up here like Lawrence Phillips and then I got a world champion boxer I'm working on with. But man, yeah, it was like, getting back to your question, like it was cool. It was cool to beat a guy like that. I felt good. Like and everything just came together, man. I had my edge for this fight, and I felt like just I felt like I just wanted to beat the fuck out of him. As the best I can say. That
Mhm.
I belong here. My last fight, I was fighting that to not lose rather than fighting to win, and this fight I said fuck it, why not? Why not me? This whole camp, and then like there's been I'm gonna keep rambling on for a little bit. That's cool, man.
No problem.
But that there's like I to be good in this sport, you need to have your mind and your soul and your body, into the right places, and it's easy to get your fucking body in the right place. You just gotta train. You gotta work out, you gotta train. And that one's kinda easy, but I kinda had a hard time like putting my mind in this where I had to be a killer. I have to be willing to take what's mine, what I want. This guy's trying to take it from me, I gotta try to take it from him. I My mindset before this fight and throughout, I was mean maybe in wrestling, but I've been fighting for, I think my last wrestling match was 2017, and so I've been fighting for 7 years, and I kind of just had the attitude of, hey, this is fun, this is fun, you know we're all chasing our dreams, we're all having fun, and we all got to go back to work on Monday, and not really the killer attitude of fuck you, I'm here to win. And now I'm the only one going to work on Monday. all these other guys are have it all set up where, they could take a big break after their fight and whatever. They're maybe a little smarter than me, but so now I am Jamal Pogus is the last guy like that. I went in that fight like where like I respected this guy, and I'd be training. My kids would be waking up in the middle of the night, and I'd just put Jamal with me, like almost like kind of like a friend, like an imaginary friend of like, hey, he's going through it too. He's got something bad going on with him, and he's working through some bullshit. And I would Jamal's a great guy, man. Like all everybody's great in this sport, but like I went in, I whatever, like just before the fight he was super friendly, super classy, and even after the fight he was classy to me, and Jamal's the last guy where I'm gonna go in with intentions of being friends, even before the fight. This is all business from now, and I had to flip a switch, and Jamal was able to do that for me. Where hey, I gotta if my mind isn't in the right spot, you're not gonna win. You have to be a sharp edge going into that fight, willing to take it. And I was willing to just not lose, and so I had that mental hump that I had to get over, and now I think I got it all figured out right now, but we'll see. I still got to get better, but so it's kind of a big deal. It was a big deal for this fight to go in there, and I have that attitude of I'm here, this is mine, this is my cage, rather than oh hey let's share it, and this is gonna be fun, and then it worked out, so I'm happy with my performance. I'm really happy with my boxing. I gotta get a little bit better, but it worked out. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good performance, opening the card like that. And sometimes people have some things to say about the Apex cards, as you can see on social media sometimes, but I thought it was a great note to start it out on, and a good win for you. Well, you mentioned the mental game, and that's something that I've been doing these interviews for, 3 years now, which is crazy to even say out loud, but I hear that talked about a lot and learned about how important it is. It's not all just what you see in the cage as a fan watching at home. So what are some of the specifics of what went into honing the mental game for you and getting sharper? Maybe things you did in the gym or outside the gym.
It was just, hey, I'm like I just this fight there's no reason to be out of shape, so I I busted my ass with that, but like the mental aspect was just fuck you. Anytime I had a like before my thoughts were this guy's going through the same thing I am. If I'm nervous or if I'm having a bad day, it was well, he's going through it too. He's got something going on too. And I would make that guy my friend in my head before. But now it was every time I got a feeling of this guy in my head, it was fuck you. This guy's partying while I'm out here grinding my ass. While I'm out here sweating in the shop, and then I gotta go to practice after. And then I gotta go run after that. And this guy's having a leisure, you know, just bullshit, easy practice or easy partying on a yacht somewhere. It's how so I go in not liking him. I go in, I'm trying to prove, I'm a gutter rat, and you're just like me. You're no fucking, you're no high end pony. You're just like me. And so when especially like a guy like that, and he was respectful. I'm a psychopath, right? So I put this guy in positions where he wasn't really like trying to be like it, but like, he kind of had better treatment than I did in the UFC. Like going in there, like he got a bus, he got the right with Kamara, and on their own private shit, and I'm in the shuttle, and that shit just made it worse for me, where it just pissed me off, like you're no better than me. You shouldn't be getting treated like that, and like I said, he was super classy. Kamara was super classy, and but I have that mindset going forward now that I'm fuck you guys, and that's what you need to have. You can't be, I'm the best, you can't be, oh, I'm okay with sharing it. I'm okay with, being friends and this and that. And so that was the biggest learning curve for me is I gotta be meaner, because I love in reality, we are all chasing the same fucking dream. So it's hard to be mean. It's hard to be a dick because we have the most, probably close knit like sport. We're all dealing with the same shit too, but you can't. They're not your teammates. They're not your friends. As Waldo Cortez's coach kind of pounded that into me. Javiera, these aren't your friends. These aren't your friends. And but like I said, we're probably all the most. We all think alike. We all do the same things. We all enjoy the same things. We all like to compete. So it's hard not to be, social with these guys. But it's a weird thing.
The thing that stood out to me, one of the things that stood out in your fight was how, like I mentioned, he's a tough winner and he's a guy that's had some hype on him and you kind of imposed your will. I had 10-9s for you all down my card. I didn't think it was, one of the most down to the wire, close knit, scoring wise fights that you're going to see. You know, what were some of the big improvements from an in cage standpoint that you made to be able to show off your skills in that kind of fashion?
I think, man. Like I said, I was working on with some good people, and for Pogos's fight, like I said, my mind was a little off, but I had a few coaches when I first started. Like when you first start jiu-jitsu and you come from a wrestling background, they go, "Hey, you don't want to shoot with your head on the outside," and and stuff like that because you get guillotined. And hey, you don't want to have too much head movement because you get kicked in the head. If you slip too hard, you get kicked in the head. Well, I fight open stance. I'm a southpaw. If you slip to the outside, you're safe. There's nothing there. And then so I just became unchained. Is I decided I needed to start over on my boxing. I needed to know what I was doing wrong, and there's happened to be a world champion, Caleb Trooks, in Minnesota, and he willing to work out with me, and so whatever, we really pounded out the basics, a basic stance, basic head movement, slipping outside, trying to fight like Usyk a little bit, really watching Usyk and trying to learn from the best guys in the world and not getting extended. My last fight, I was tall and I was getting extended, which I could get away with, you know, in my room and against, lesser guys or guys that I'm used to. I just and whatever, and at the regional level, I could get away with being out of position a little bit, but now in the UFC, everybody's good, and so I just had to really dial in with the basics, and I think that was the biggest thing was I was disciplined on my head movement, always trying to throw something out there, and just trying to have combos. Every chance I could land a combo, I'd hit it, and then he did a good job of he would back up and then hit an angle. So it's hard to chase him down and get my wrestling going, but he was also backing up. So there's another guy. I don't know if you Nick Thompson, the GOAT, he's kind of he was top 10 in the world back in the day, and he always told me, when Tom, I can stop your boxing if you're just boxing, and I can stop your wrestling if you're just gonna wrestle. But if you're doing them both, I can't stop them both. And so I think Usman was trying to run away from my wrestling a little bit, which if you're running and keeping distance, it's hard to wrestle anybody. And but then he was just leaving, my boxing kind of ran away with it. And so I don't know. I was really excited with what happened. It was fun.
Are
Uh,
you surprised at all, if you break it down like that, are you surprised at all that an Usman brother was kind of shying away from the wrestling?
No, he was a state champ, I think, but man, I'm a junior college. Like, not that junior college is really prestigious, but I'm a national champ. I wrestle, like I got Gable Stevenson coming in every now and then to wrestle with me. I got I can hang in with the best guys in the world in wrestling. Like I love wrestling. I wrestled since I was 3 years old. Like, and I love it, man. So I think that, and people are starting to understand that I don't want to say I'm a world class wrestler, but I can compete. I'm a pretty good wrestler, and so if you're gonna come forward on me and try to be mean, you're gonna get taken down. Is what how to beat me in the past. It's been keeping distance and not letting me get close. Not letting me close in. And now, like before, like Pogus did a really good job of every time I would shoot an inside single, he would change levels and kick his foot back, and I would just run into his big chest, and it was I just couldn't go nowhere, and I was too afraid to shoot outside and kind of slip his big body and then shoot in, just because I had that in my head that you can't do that, you can't do that, and The best guys in the world do that. DC did it. GSP does that. Outside shots, outside singles, and so whatever. So now I hit a gear where I'm not afraid to make it work. I kind of before my brain worked as risk versus reward. Oh, if you do this as a high risk thing, well, there's risk in everything you do out there. We're heavyweight throwing big fucking meats at each other. So I'm just not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid to try. I'm not afraid to roll the dice and go try to win. And I feel like that made me hit another gear. And I got a few more gears up. I feel like I can still hit, by being disciplined and doing the right things. And so I'm just excited.
What is your timetable looking like for the rest of the year? There's a few months left before the calendar flips. What does that look like for you?
I want to fight in October or whatever, or even I would even take a fight, whatever. I want to fight one more time this year, at least. And so I'm trying to get October or whatever, November, whatever. I don't care. But I would like to fight again. And then I I might like to fight again before I got another kid due in March for my wife's pregnant, and so I'd like to get two more fights before my child's born. And then take a little bit, whatever, take a few weeks off and then get back into it again. Because it's a time game right now. I beat somebody that a lot of people think I shouldn't have, or where I wasn't gonna have a chance. And then, so I kind of got a little heat on your name, so you kind of want to stay busy. And so I'd like to stay busy.
In terms of this day and age, that's obviously a pretty active schedule. I look at your record and I see that all things considered, you've been pretty active. 9-2 record, which is in good shape, but also turning pro in 2019 from what I saw. And then you have obviously COVID in between that, throwing a wrench into a lot of different things, I'm sure. And you've still managed to rack up, that amount of fights with all that going on and in a comparatively short time. I mean, how have you felt that you've improved and developed over that time span?
Well, man, I think you obviously I got better, but your competition got better. And so iron sharpens iron. If you're like I said, like Waldo Cortez, I learned a lot when I lost that fight. And then like fucking Jamal Pogus, I learned a lot of, hey, what do I got to do? What did I do wrong? And like I said, that like it was a close fight. Like I thought I could have gone either way, but even if I would have won that fight, I wasn't doing what I needed, the level I needed to be at. And I don't think Jamal was at his level too when I talked to him after. And like I said, he was classy. He said he hit another gear too after that fight. He wants to be better. He wants to be, and so I think we really were good for each other. And but yeah, so I think you can only improve so much when you're in a littler pond. You the best time to improve is out in the cold, baby, uncomfortable. You've got to get uncomfortable to improve. And so whatever. So now I'm just that's what I'm doing now too. I go to different camps. Like I go to Waldo's camp, and I try to get uncomfortable down there. And then I'm probably gonna go to Las Vegas. I'm probably gonna go to Jamal Pogos's camp for a little bit, and just get uncomfortable and and try it and that's the best spot you learn. Because I tell you what, man, going out there in that cage is uncomfortable. Going, you have nerves going. You have you know doubts, and so if you can go into rooms like before, like my room was kind of guys I'd work out with every day, and it was kind of like I enjoy practices, and so it would all the nerves would get out of it, and so now kind of my home base, I got my guys, but then I like to go travel, for a week. Every couple weeks, I go to a different spot and just get different looks. And you go into a different gym, they're all trying to kill you. They're all trying to make a name for themselves. They're all trying to headhunt you, and so it's just feels like a fight. So I'm getting as close as I can to a fight where I'm uncomfortable. Usually I'm living in the coach's house or something like that, where I'm staying in a which isn't comfortable for me, where I'm in a, you know, just not my house, even though however like commandeering they are, it's just uncomfortable, everything's uncomfortable, right? I'm away from my kids, I'm away from my wife. And so, but that's what you need to do in the sport. You need to get uncomfortable to grow. And so I just feel like I'm hitting a stride right now and I'm excited.
What's been the biggest lesson that you've learned from traveling around and having those different looks, all over different camps as you've prepared for fights?
I think, man, it's just like so if I have a game plan, I design a game plan here, we design a game plan with coaches, and then I get to go test it. I get to go test it. Like, hey, I'm going to be shooting outside, my head on outside singles. Let's see if this works. Let's see if I can slip my combos into this shot. And and especially when you get to go to high level like camp guy, with like Waldo Cortez was a psychopath, was a super good guy, and then that Tyrell Fortune who's a really good wrestler, and get to see if this shit's working on them, if it can work on these guys, or if I can have some success on these guys. There's no reason I can't have success in the cage too. And so that's the biggest thing I like to do that I get from it is I have a game plan in my head, what's going to work. And then they get tested. Okay, if this failed, this failed, this failed, I got tired. Okay, I need to run more. I need to do this more. I need to work. I got to swim more. And so it's a good fucking test to go do another camp and just you swallow your pride and evaluate how it happened. It's just like a fight. I get to have a fight every few weeks, and then I get to bring it to the table and go, okay, obviously my cardio wasn't there. I got tired in 4 rounds of sparring. Like, what's going on? And so, and that's probably the best thing is instead of just going straight to your fucking fight without that uncomfortableness, without that test, you don't know. You don't know how you're gonna do. You don't know if you did everything right. So at least when you go and travel and you get uncomfortable, you get to see if you're doing stuff right or not. And that was just something I was missing before, I think.
Another big picture question, and last thing for me, I talk about this sometimes, and you've been in the UFC about a year now. Next 365 days from now, what are some of your goals and maybe things you want to do, or where do you want to be?
I want to be in the top 15. I want to have 3 more wins, maybe 4 more wins. And I want to have at least, right, 365 days. I should have 3 wins, and hopefully I break the top 15. And, I just want to stay in shape. I just want to stay ready. And I just want to stay disciplined. I want to, there's a, it's just exciting, man. And I just want to compete, and so so I see the next 365 days is, you know, getting some heat and going and getting some wins. That's all I want.
A great conversation. I really appreciate you making the
Uh,
time, man. That's all I had for you this time. But again, thank you so much for the insights. I really enjoyed this, and congrats on the new
yeah,
venue.
yeah. Thank you, man. Yeah, and that's thanks for your time, brother.
Absolutely. Good luck on what comes next, my friend. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.